Welcome back to The Evil Within. We're falling into Chapter 5 of our Akumu run. We're trying to get the You Asked For It achievement. I didn't ask for it. I don't know who asked for it. I wouldn't have asked for it. But this means that we're running on a new game. Can't get that achievement running on a new game plus. It has to be the first time that you run Akumu. You can't run Akumu until you have finished the game at least once on survival. Once you've done that, the difficulty is open. You can't start a new game on a difficulty that you haven't completed, so you can't start an Akumu difficulty run until you've completed Akumu at least once.
March 2005. The bad news is that I've been reassigned to a new partner. The good news is that Myra said yes. But even the bad news isn't bad. Joseph is a great detective, and we're a good team. Crimson City needs more men like him on the force, and it's an honor to be working with him. But sometimes it feels like bailing out a boat with a giant hole in the bottom. For every crime we solve, it seems there are 10 others committed. The KCPD is a thin blue line, protecting the populace from the criminals. But sometimes it seems like there's more of the latter than the former.
Some content you're seeing in the video that's not in the game is obviously you didn't hear my wife Jacqueline reading the documents to you if you were playing the game. The documents would be static text on the screen. So thank her very much for the great voiceovers. Also, the document counts that pop up in the left-hand corner, that's not a HUD in the game. That's a HUD that I've added to the videos. It will count us down through the Every Nook and Cranny and Master of Unlocking achievements.
Investigation stalls in serial killer case. Community cautiously optimistic. Citing lack of new leads, police suspect serial killer may have gone into hiding or moved on.
Like that was newspaper number 5. There were 21 newspapers to find, so you see how that count works. The highlighted green count is the item that we're about to pick up. The other counts are shown just so that you know in reference where we are. We get really lucky here. We're going to open a locker and find 2 keys. I say really lucky only because we found it pretty early on in the game, so we get to open 2 lockers. I've had it. I think in our It Is What It Is, we were over halfway through opening lockers before we found the 2 keys. You notice that the counts there, the locker keys, there are 47 of them, and there are only 45 lockers. That means that by finding the 2 keys in a locker, there are 2 keys out in the world outside of the sanctuary that you can leave on the ground and still get through it. In this run, we are going to leave 1 key. We are not going to kill Laura in Chapter 10, so we're going to leave her key on the ground. We also, in the sanctuary, every time we come back, we will check the upgrade chair. I believe sometimes we go to the upgrade chair and then don't actually do anything. I've edited the videos such that when we go into the upgrade chair, you will really just see the ones that you don't see the minutes of us scrolling back and forth trying to decide what to do. You'll just see us go to the ones that we want and do those. So we did some maximum sprint time there and some flash forwards. I believe that's all we do this time. And we'll stand up. All right. So that's a little bit about the video presentation. Like I said, we're working on the You Asked For It achievement. We will also track the Every Nook and Cranny and Master of Unlocking achievements. We won't get either one of those in this particular playthrough. You can't get the Every Nook and Cranny in a single playthrough. You have to play at least part of the game in New Game Plus to get that achievement. I'm sorry. In this playthrough, we will get the Master of Unlocking. We will unlock all 45 lockers. Okay, Chapter 5. I want to talk a little bit about Chapter 5. Is split into 2 videos for us. It's kind of a longer chapter. It's mainly split into 2 chapters because, to me, it has 2 distinct feels to it. The first part that we're going through now is exploration, information gathering, collectibles, and then the second half gets very heavy into combat. So if you're looking for how to get through that water tank battle that is notorious in Chapter 5, that'll be in tomorrow's video. If that's what you're looking for, you might want to go see that video if it's already out, or unfortunately, I guess you'd have to wait until tomorrow to see it if you're watching it on the day that this is released. I want to talk a little bit about the lore. We established in the first 5 videos of our series our worldview of what the evil within is. That it's primarily obviously centered on a device called STEM, STEM. This was a construct, a creation of Ruben Victoriano. He came to the idea by dissecting humans alive, keeping their awareness intact while he would probe their brains. As gruesome and horrifying as that sounds, what that led to was an ability to subconsciously synchronize multiple human beings at one time. Dr. Jimenez just happened to stumble upon Ruben doing this research, primarily because the Victoriano family was funding Beacon Hospital. They were big donors to the hospital where Dr. Jimenez was working. Beacon Hospital was owned by Mobius. Mobius was looking for a way to help influence mankind, to help influence the way mankind would view the world and the decisions they would make in the past that they would go forward. When Dr. Jimenez brought the concept of STEM to them as a way of linking subconsciousnesses, they saw in that if they could link people's subconscious, they could then control subconscious thought. And that, of course, is a long-time sci-fi type scenario where you use somebody's subconscious, you give them subliminal messages, or you go like into their dreams and you suggest things to them. They come out thinking the ideas are their own. They take actions that you pretty much predicated them to take, and because of that, you've influenced how the world changes. So they were very interested in the research. They didn't know about Ruben. They thought it was a side project of Dr. Jimenez. Eventually, Dr. Jimenez slipped up and let it slip that Ruben was instrumental in creating it. And so then they brought Ruben into Mobius. That's when they found out what Ruben was doing to come up with the research. Dissecting humans alive. Probably not good for your corporate image, but as they put it, they put up with his peculiarities in order to further the research because they thought the research would be important enough. Dr. Jimenez had originally thought that he might be able to cure different types of mental illnesses by connecting his mental ill patients, subconsciously to the STEM, and then being able to basically draw them out of the labyrinths that they've built inside their minds. One particular mental patient, Leslie Withers, was particularly good at building internal minds, labyrinths and places in his mind. He had undergone so much trauma in real life that he had obtained the ability to basically shelter himself from the world by going internally into a sanctuary. When he then was connected to STEM, he would come out more or less the same as he went in. Ruben decided to key the STEM to where it would only work with his brain frequency. By doing that, he put himself at odds with Mobius, who obviously they don't want Ruben to control the world. They want to control the world by subliminally, subconsciously directing people. This upset them. Ruben thought it was going to make him indisposable to the project and he would always be part of it. Well, he was partially right. What Mobius did then was capture him and dissect him in the exact same way he had been dissecting his patients, the way he had been doing his research. They did that to him. They pulled his brain out and stuck it in as basically the CPU or the GPU of STEM. What they didn't expect, and what this game really explores is, to kind of maybe coin a phrase, is the hardware of the soul. Does your being matter? Does your physical presence matter as much as your conscious presence? They thought they were taking a physical part of Ruben, just basically, his brain, his gray matter, and his spinal cord, and hooking that up, and that they were just basically getting hardware from that. They were expecting just kind of the hardware. They weren't expecting Ruben's soul. And so Ruben's soul came into STEM with his hardware. So his consciousness is now in here. And since he's the CPU of the system, he has conscious control over the constructs.
Underground facility note. He lies. And to his own son, his own flesh and blood. It's outrageous. Gone to a better place? That hypocrite. That sanctimonious fool. I know the truth. I know him better than he knows himself. He's trying to punish me again. He always resented our closeness. Thinks he can use it against me. Does he take me for a fool? Laura is not dead.
And you can see that we're basically in a construct of Ruben here, because Laura is his sister who was killed in a barn fire, which also horribly disfigured Ruben at a young age. He was, a boy of maybe 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. There's probably somebody actually knows, but I don't know. Somewhere around that age, a little boy. And he was playing with his sister in a barn, and some villagers burned the barn. The villages are near Elk River. We just spent episode 3 and 4 going through Elk River, a construct of Elk River. Each time you look through one of these holes, you're looking into kind of a scene of very young Ruben, that little ghost figure, drawing on the walls. Once he was disfigured and his sister Laura was killed in the barn fire, his father stuck him in a basement, just locked him in a basement. So these are representing the basement walls where he did a lot of his early drawings and things like that. Well, the Victoriano family was heavily donating to Beacon Mental Hospital as one of their primary funders. And because of that, Dr. Jimenez ran into Ruben and saw what Ruben was doing. He didn't necessarily see kind of the horror of the dissection.
Assimilation of subject's consciousness. Initial symptoms, sharp pain in brainstem and centered on insertion point, followed by gradual onset of hemorrhaging as capillaries dilate. Over time, degradation of the ego generates strong suicidal tendencies. They lose who they are and become clay, completely reshapeable in my image. But not me. Something keeps me from staying completely within.
So you see there that what Ruben was looking for is he was looking for a way to stay in this world so that he could connect himself and never have to come out. He figured by driving this world that he could bring his sister Laura back to life inside this world. Now she would be pulled basically from the ether of his memories, just pulled out of his memories, and she would be created in here. I don't know if that's a good way to go about things, because what we see of Laura in the game is not something you would want to pull out of the ether of your memories. The symbology of these bathtubs where the people are connected to the stem is just so reminiscent of the Matrix.
Okay.
I have to believe it's on purpose.
I don't know what I am.
Okay, so Ruben
But it's definitely
had tied
not
himself to the stem, making it would only work with his brainwaves.
brought me here.
Mobius has dissected him in the same way he dissected his experiments, his experimental subjects, and he's now at the center. They expected to get the hardware to work, but they didn't expect the soul. So the hardware of the soul comes in, and Ruvik is now the center. The consciousness of Ruben is at the center, and he's in torment, right? He knows he's connected to this machine, and while he's free to create the world here, he can't seem to fully appreciate it, or even though it seems to represent maybe what he was wanting, the ability to create a whole world of himself, but he's just consumed with hate for Mobius. And so what Ruben is wanting is he's wanting to get out of STEM. By getting out of STEM, he wants to get then revenge on Mobius and the people that have done this to him, in much the same way that he got much of his revenge on Elk River villagers with his early experiments as a teenager and a young man.
Keep your eyes peeled.
So what he is doing, this is a kind of a crucial strategy. I'm trying to make it sure that they all get here roughly at the same time, so that they will just one by one trail into the fire and burn. Unfortunately, Joseph held one back, and I realized it because he's still shooting. So I'm like, okay, somebody else is still coming. My fire is going to go out, and now You'll see a difference in the Akumu, how Akumu plays versus the other, is that they're much faster and much more aggressive. They will also dodge much more than they ever would before. And remember, if he even scratches me, if he even bumps into me, I die. And so that was a high stakes game of cat and mouse there. It was very close to me having to restart and refilm. Okay, so how is he planning to get out? Well, Leslie Withers, one of the patients that has been connected to the stem that we mentioned, has become very good at making these internal constructs in his brain where he could hide from Ruvik while he's connected to the stem. Leslie is trying to just hide usually, and Ruvik is trying to overcome him every time he's connected to the stem. Ruvik is trying to amass enough power. And what do we mean by power? Well, that was left a little vague, but my interpretation of what they mean by power is the bioelectrical energy of the human brains. So Ruvik, at the center of the stem cell, of the stem, is harvesting bioelectrical energy from those that are connected to the stem. The brain produces the highest amounts of bioelectrical energy, or, well, theory in the game is that it produces the highest amounts of electrical energy when in duress, when terrified, when scared, when that flight or flight is triggered, and specifically when flight is triggered. Like it wants to overwhelm you, terrify you, and that will cause you to produce this electrical current that he will then consume and become more and more powerful. He will then use that power to overcome Leslie's defenses. Once he overcomes Leslie's defenses and can get directly to Leslie in the game, he will download Ruben's consciousness into Leslie because their brainwaves are in sync. He will be able. Leslie is the unique structure in the sense that he can create sanctuaries to prevent Ruvik from taking over, but he's also highly synchronized with Ruben. So Ruben could be the consciousness of Ruben could be downloaded into the hardware of Leslie. And then when Leslie comes out of STEM, Ruben will come out of STEM. And by Ruben, I mean it will have all of Ruben's experiences and memories as well as all of Ruvik's experiences and memories. So that's Ruvik's goal at the center. He's building this power. So how is he doing that? He's overcoming the individuals. He's terrifying them, producing a lot of electrical energy, consuming that current,
Why would they put a
pulling
bomb
it
like
up,
this?
getting more power.
Do you think we can get past it?
What Sebastian is doing is he's not an insane person. So he's come in with his full facilities, his full faculties. He's able to consciously, well, not consciously, he's subconsciously thinking. But his conscious mind is struggling against the whole thing. He's not just collapsing. When he gets scared, he produces more energy than, say, a mental patient who just collapses and is overcome by it. Cutscene coming up here where Ruvik is trying to overcome Joseph, and you hear the wireless signal coming from STEM.
I thought it was something electronic. Joseph, after Connolly, I thought...
I don't know what came over me. I haven't been feeling well, but...
Look, let's just get out of here. There's something wrong with this place.
Yeah.
So you might ask yourself why Ruvik isn't focusing on overcoming these challenges. Like, why not take over Sebastian and Joseph? Why not focus all of his energy on that? Well, just remember that the wireless system was turned on and it sucked in people for blocks, city blocks around the hospital, which means he has hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, that maybe up to 1,000 people that he's consuming. And so, if you will, the beam of the beacon, the signal is just kind of going around the land and just collecting people. Those that collapse quickly give him enough energy to keep going. And from time to time, he will imbue a construct. Like you saw early in this episode, we were killing the invisible creatures. When we kill them, they always drop a pool of, like, say, 1,000 green gel. Well, that 1,000 green gel is bioelectrical energy that Ruvik placed into one of the poor souls that got wirelessly attached to the stem. And he's created this new creature, and he's invested energy in it to hopefully produce more energy from Sebastian and Joseph and Kidman and Dr. Jimenez. The more terrified they are, the more power he can get from them. But Sebastian is also collecting that bioelectrical energy. Every time he picks something up from...
Patients claim abuse. Abuse only tip of the iceberg. Patients at Beacon Mental Hospital claim they are being used in behavioral engineering experiments by an unknown agency.
Every time he picks up a jar with green gel in it, or finds leftover residuals from killing a haunted or a more powerful than haunted construct. When he kills a haunted and finds, like, the small amount of bioelectrical energy in the form of green gel, that's him basically finding remnants that Ruvik left behind. Same with the green gel that he finds in canisters. It's either where somebody is hidden or stashed away part of their consciousness, and he's finding that leftover residual in the environment. When he kills a construct like the invisible creatures, that's energy that he's basically directly stolen from Ruvik, because he's able to... Ruvik invested that energy in it, and now he's harvested it himself. Now, just like Ruvik is doing, Sebastian is using that bioelectrical energy to become more powerful every time he comes in here. I figured I'd be using the handgun a lot in the coming up battle, and probably the shock bolt, so I invested in making sure that the accuracy is maxed out and to increase my shock bolt a bit. Okay, so I think we've covered the lore once again. Maybe I said it a little bit more succinct. I'm getting this. The summaries are getting probably a little bit more succinct because I'm not having to lay as much groundwork down. Unfortunately, we're not progressing further along in the lore much, and I'll hope to do that coming up soon, instead of just reiterating what STEM is and then reiterating what the hospital is, which we didn't even really cover in this one. So I'll cover that probably in the second half. This is going to end our video, and we'll pick it up tomorrow here as this battle starts. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying the discussion of the lore. It's something that Jackie and I discussed kind of a great length. Came up with some ideas.
Get me out of this thing!
Batted around, looked to see if there were other people saying the same thing.
It's another trap.
It's not inconsistent with what other people have said, but it has a little bit more nuance to it and a little bit more detail to it. So I hope you're enjoying these discussions. It's fun for me to talk about it because it's my concept.
It's much more elaborate.
Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this show, and we'll see you tomorrow for the big battle. See you there. Thanks for watching.
Joseph, are you all right?